Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. The legacy of federal judge and civil rights champion Damon Keith is being remembered here in Detroit and across the world. Judge Keith passed away at the age of 96. Born in Detroit, he was the grandson of slaves who rose to become an internationally known civil and equal rights advocate and the nation's longest serving black judge. In 2014, I had the chance to sit down with Judge Keith for a rare one-on-one interview. We talked about some of his cases and his biography, Crusader for Justice. Here's a portion of that conversation.
Steve, I went to Howard University Law School and had a chance to be with Charlie Houston and Thurgood Marshall, Spotswood Robinson, and other great advocates. And Thurgood used to tell us, the white man wrote those words, equal justice under law.
Right.
When you leave this law school, I want you to make him live up to those things. Use the law as a means for social change.
Right.
And in my career, I have tried to do that, to try to balance the scales of justice. In the wiretap case, when I told President Nixon and Mitchell they couldn't wiretap without prior judicial approval.
Right.
In the Detroit Edison case, where there were no blacks in any high position, and I fined them a certain amount of money, along with the union,
Right.
For not representing. And then the Hamtramck case, and the police case, and the Pontiac school case, where the Ku Klux Klan dynamited those buses out there in Pontiac,
Sure.
and they threatened to kill me. So, in fact, I had been enjoying all these cases you were saying when I got on the bench. So I was so concerned about this, Steve, until I went to Judge Freeman, who was the chief judge, and I said, it's almost impossible for one man or one judge to receive all of these heavy cases.
Right.
And I said, I think something's wrong with the blind draw.
With the draw, right?
Yeah, with the draw. And he says, you know, it's a little difficult. I can't understand how you drew. He says, I'm going to put the FBI down in the clerk's office and see if the draw has been cleaned. So he did, and he came back to me a month or two later, and he says, you just drew all those cases?
You just got them.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And as I look back over my life, Steve, it was good that I had them, and I've made a difference in terms of the judicial philosophy throughout the country.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, I think the phrase that you're best known for in judicial circles in terms of, opinions that you've written is the line that democracy dies behind closed doors,
yes.
Which of course is a phrase very close to my heart as a newspaper, newspaperman.
But life is funny in terms of the way it directs you. And I believe that faith plays a part, and God plays a part in it. In these two cases, dealing one with President Nixon and Mitchell, and another with President Bush.
Right.
In the first case, dealing with the St. Clair case, where you had Bill Kunstler and Leonard Weinglass representing these revolutionists, the case was originally assigned to Judge Talbot Smith, who lived in Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And he came to a judges meeting and said, I have my wife and my children here in Ann Arbor, and I wish you would get in touch with the chief judge of the Sixth Circuit and ask him to bring another judge in here to try this case. I don't want to try it.
I don't want to risk.
Yeah, I want to recuse myself.
Yeah.
So I'm the youngest. I'm getting back to your question about the youngest judge on the court. So I'm sitting there, and I tell Judge Freeman, I said, we have taken an oath to try the big cases and the bad cases. And I said, every time we have a difficult case, we can ask the chief judge of the circuit to assign another judge to come in.
Right.
And he says, Judge Keith, I agree. So he says, let's put everybody's name in the book or the basket except Judge Talbot Smith. And whoever draws the case, that will be his case. And would you believe I drew the case?
You got it again, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then in the Detroit Free Press case,
right,
where I said democracies die behind closed doors, I sat on a panel with Judge Daughtry, who was presiding, because I was a senior judge and a district judge from Ohio. And we heard the case. Court was in Cincinnati was packed, and as we got in chambers to discuss the case, Judge Daughtry said, "I would affirm the district court, Judge Nancy Edmonds," and I said I would too, and the district judge said he would too, and I said, "Judge Daughtry, this is a very important case, and I would like to concur in your opinion." And she says, "No, Judge Keith, I want you to write this opinion." I want
you to write the majority, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was flabbergasted. So when I got back to my chambers to tell my clerks what had happened, they jumped up and screamed and hollered. And we said, we have a chance to make the First Amendment very strong.